name is Myron McClure. I serve as Assistant Director. I had the pleasure of chairing the committee that put this week on. Just do want to thank so many people from the College of Health and Human Sciences. We had Sonia Pierce, who was a leader in that. We had Dr. Zenefia Evans, who couldn't be here today. She had another engagement, but I'm out of the College of Science. I had Lupita Acosta-Roberts over in liberal arts. So all of the 4 colleges all put in some funding to support the efforts that went on this week. So I do want to acknowledge them and thank them all. If you were able to be here for the screening of the Black Purdue, it's a great film that we had. We had a wonderful speaker yesterday, Dr. Kai Green. Very phenomenal speaker, and then some of you I know went to some of the emotional intelligence workshops, and hopefully you enjoyed those. We will be sending out a evaluation. We have all your names in the emails, and so you'll get a little link. We asked if you could just fill it out to let us know what you like, what you didn't like, so we can try to make things even better next year. But with that said, I want to move forward with the introduction of our speakers. I'll allow the last few people to kind of come in, if there are any last ones. Hey, there are some seats up here in the front as well, so we want to allow that to take place. I will say this is the performance aspect. So if you notice, we do a video, we have a speaker, we do workshops, and then we have a performance. And so we have some extra mics here and everything else, because the performance, I want everyone to, make sure that's why we gave you bottled water. So we'll be looking for a little participation, but you'll hear more about that later. So just be, you might be called upon. Anyhow, without further ado, I have the honor of introducing a colleague, a friend, a wonderful person that I've gotten to know here over the last year, wonderful family and all, but Mr. James Deacle. He came here to the Black Culture Center from Atlanta, where he served as the choir director for the DeKalb Early College Academy and the Atlantic Music Project, a nonprofit organization that provides intense music education for underserved youth. James he received his bachelor's degree in music education from Florida A&M, Agriculture and Mechanical University, and a master's of music education from Winthrop University. He was a member of the FAMU Marching 100 Band, concert choirs, and the connection with the concert choir. He performed on several national and international music tours with Lauryn Hill, the Marley Brothers, and several others. Deacle has provided background vocals for R&B and gospel singers Kelly Prince in 2005. He toured Spain as a soloist musician for the Florida Singers in 2006. He's been all over the place, ladies and gentlemen, so we have the honor of having him here at Purdue University, so something that's wonderful. And his list goes on and on and on, and believe me, it's wonderful. I would say that in 2009, he released his debut album called Purpose, and he's in 2013 won a songwriting competition hosted by the Georgia Music Industry Association for his original composition, Spirit of Christmas. So we have a guest here that has music, education, and many other great talents, and he's going to share with us a wonderful topic around songs of freedom. And without further ado, Mr. James Deacle.
Thank you. Again, my name is James Deacle. I'm the choir director for the Black Voices of Inspiration here on campus. We are grateful that we now offer a class credit for that participation, and that is African American Choral Foundation. So if any of you would like to come and sing with me on a regular basis, we meet on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 4:30 to 5:30. First, I will comment on the first row. This reminds me of the first day of choir rehearsal. Most people avoid the front row. However, everybody will be participating today. I couldn't help but overhear a gentleman walked in and he said, I want to hear some singing. Well, I want to tell that gentleman I can do one better. You're going to do some singing. So, but we'll do that toward the end. I'm thankful for the committee that has given me this opportunity to speak with you today. I had the privilege of going to breakfast, and it was a hearty breakfast indeed. But we discussed many topics of our lives and just began to think about what today's conversation and time would be. I would like to ask a question just to find out the experiences with the music that I'm going to talk about today. How many of you, this is your first experience really talking or learning about the Negro spiritual? Raise your hand if you don't mind. Thank you. How many of you feel that you have been around spirituals and you have a somewhat good understanding of what the meaning and how spirituals were developed? Raise your hand if that's you. Very good. Awesome. So we have a mixed crowd. I thought it would be only right to start off with letting you hear a very popular spiritual. This is a choral composition. This is the Howard University Chamber Choir. I just want to start it off and let you get a listen to the mystifying effects of spirituals. Very good. How many of you heard that before? Nice. That arrangement may sound familiar to many of you. That's actually the same arrangement that was used by Alvin Ailey in his Revelations production, which is a choreographed dance artistic movement around spirituals. Before I get started, I just wanted to say this. Today is a great day. And I told the committee, I said, I woke up this morning and I couldn't help but think about what was going on with me 8 years ago. Many of you know at 12 o'clock, we swore in our new president of the United States. And 8 years ago, I was a choir director at the age of 24 years, and I was teaching at a middle school in Charlotte, North Carolina. The funny thing, especially for some of you who are from up north, it was actually a snow day. The forecast was that there was going to be a 1 inch of snow, and Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools thought it best to cancel school for the day. So I was at my home, and I enjoyed every moment of the inauguration. The reason why I wanted to say that was because I know many of you, or some of you, have weird feelings about the future of this country. And I hope that this talk and the songs that we study today will help give you encouragement and know that as long as the soul is alive, that you will always be free. All right? And it's amazing because it's 12:08 right now, and I know what I was doing 8 years ago. I was wiping tears from my eyes, to be honest with you, because I couldn't believe I just witnessed the first black president be sworn into office. And that was an amazing day for me. So without further ado, we're going to begin to talk a little bit about the songs of freedom. The spirituals are purely and solely the creation of the American Negro. That is, as much as any music can be the pure and sole creation of any particular group. James Weldon Johnson. Many of you have heard that name before. He actually composed Lift Every Voice and Sing. The objectives of this presentation are, I want to talk about the roots of African American folk music, the development of the Negro spiritual, its musical characteristics, the dissemination of the spiritual, and then the main thing is stimulate your appreciation for the Negro spiritual and the contributions of African Americans in this country. With that, we'll start talking about the roots. In 1619, as most historians document, was when the first slaves began to arrive. They arrived from the countries that you see on the screen. I will not go through all of them, but I just want to set the table of understanding of how this music came into existence. Music and dance were very important in the West African now countries. They weren't as many established countries at this time, okay? But now these countries are at the top there. But music was very important. It was used in almost every aspect of life. This is taken from the biography of Oladu Kweyano, which was a freed slave who he actually purchased his freedom and would later go on to move to London. Singing and chanting were especially important during the religious rites. What was the music like? Well, there's a term called griot. These were the trained musicians of Western Africa. Their training came from being born into the family of a previous griot. So they had a firsthand encounter with these stories and these songs. Now, all of the griots are not necessarily musicians. They were also storytellers. So there's a combination here. You have the singer and the storyteller, but they all encompass what we call the griot. They were experts in this. They talked about poetry, genealogy, religion, political and social customs. And their most common way of sharing this information was through a call and response method. Many of us who grew up in Baptist churches, we're familiar with that. The deacon comes up at the beginning of the service and will begin to say something, and the members would then respond, right? So this was a way that the information would be passed and learned, all right? This music was known for its improvisation. Now, that's a word that we use a lot when we talk about jazz. Jazz is from the spiritual, okay? It's known for its polyrhythms and percussion. They were a distinctive characteristic. Polyrhythms, many rhythms going at the same time, simultaneously, all right? Then we get to America. The African slave was introduced to the church. The African Americans sang with the whites during the Sabbath services and the camp house meetings. They sat separately, but they sang psalm tunes by rote from the Bay Psalm book. The Bay Psalm book was a book that was put together in 1640. Okay, many of you who are from the liberal arts may know something about the Bay Psalm book. In Western music culture, we talk about the Renaissance period. And in the Renaissance period, there was an awakening. People wanted to learn about music and church music. And the Bay Psalm book came towards the end of the Renaissance period going into the Baroque. Camp meetings. I wanted to put this picture up here so you can see what the camp meeting looked like. It was an outdoor event. It was often referred to as a brush arbor meeting or a bush meeting. It was very informal. But in this meeting, they would sing, they would chant, they would dance. I was reading around, collecting some evidence to share with you today. And many people, this was a place where people would meet their spouses. This was a chance for them to unwind after a long day of work or after church. The ring shouts was a popular event that would occur during the camp meeting. And I have the definition there. It's a circular dance rhythm, and they would have a leader who would lead the shout, and they would respond with the call and response method. A little later in the presentation, you're going to hear a ring shout. And this is a praise house. I was able to get permission from the Gullah community to show you this picture. This is actually copywritten in 2017, but this was a small place of worship built on the plantation during the slavery times. And I don't know about you, but that guy standing in that window, when I was looking at this picture, I was like, oh my God, he looks like a spirit or something. This is the question that many of you came to want to get a better understanding of. This is a question that I asked myself when I was singing in choir in high school, and my high school choir director said, we're going to learn a spiritual. I didn't really know what she was talking about. I didn't really know how to describe it or how to quantify it. But as I continued to study music, I began to get better understandings of what the term spiritual means. The spiritual term was not really called a spiritual when this music was being developed and sang in its earliest days. It actually was adopted in the 1860s. Many scholars feel like it came from the scriptural reference in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 19. And I'll be reading what that says. Speaking to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord. What we do know is that the spiritual was the song of the slave. And it led to the definition of folk song. A folk song, this is according to dictionary.com, is a song originating among the people of a country or area passed by oral tradition from one singer or generation to the next, often existing in several versions and marked generally by simple modal melody and stanzaic narrative verse. The origin of this definition is from 1865 to 1870. Now, I don't know if you find this ironic, but I did a presentation, a lecture last semester, and many people think that Bob Dylan is the father of folk music, right? Bob Dylan. But this definition clearly shows that folk music is directly tied to the music of the slave, okay? The melodies, we're going to talk a little bit about the musical attributes now. Most melodies use the major scale or the pentatonic scale. Some of you are familiar with the group, the Pentatonics. That's a cool name, right? Pentatonic just means 5. It's a 5-note scale. If I sang it, it's do, re, mi, sol, la. So I skip fa. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. That's the major scale. The minor scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol. The pentatonic scale, do, re, mi, sol, la. One of my favorite arrangers, Moses Hogan, he arranged spirituals. He did an arrangement of Wade in the Water, and he began his arrangement with the pentatonic scale. God's a gonna trouble. I just sang it in a phrase, okay? So that's the pentatonic scale. A lot of the melodies were of these scales. The scale featured flattened tones or bent notes, most frequently the 7th note of a scale. How many of you love jazz? Yes, this is the beginning of jazz. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. That's the 7th note of the scale, of the major scale. Ti, when I make that a flattened 7th, that's te. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do. Right? So now, that flattened 7th would serve to be, any of you who play jazz, you're familiar with the 2-5-1, the dominant scale, the dominant chords? Yes, this is the foundation of the dominant 7. All right? Some of the songs are in minor keys. Call and response again, and improvisation. Probably the most important characteristic of this music. They didn't have the formalized music training that I have, and I can talk about all these pentatonic, and they just sang. And they did not have manuscript and those type of things. So just want to put that in your head so we can contextualize where we are. The rhythm, duple meter, 2. We feel in 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's always funny because, like, if you check out any of the inaugural balls tonight or you watch anything with the inauguration, it's so funny because sometimes they have a song playing and they'll start showing people in the crowd. And you'll see some clapping on 1 and 3. We're not going to go into detail. And then you'll see some clapping on 2 and 4. And they're all in there together, bumping into each other because 1 and 3, you're here, you know. So it's amazing, but check that out tonight. You're going to remember that. Syncopation. Syncopation is a term that we can simply say, if I'm clapping a beat, everybody clap with me. Now, I'm going to syncopate this. Watch me. Now, some of you just got thrown off. It was like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? But that's syncopation, all right? I'm not necessarily following a steady beat, all right? That's what we call a steady beat, the syncopation. And you're going to hear that in some of the examples that you will hear in a few. Syllabic text, 1 syllable per note. God's a gonna trouble. 1 syllable per note, all right? The music was often syllabic. Polyrhythms, many rhythms at one time. We're not even going to try that right now, okay? But just go back to the 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 reference that I gave, and then you have a polyrhythm, okay? And then we have multimeters. Multimeters, and I think this is an incidental because I play at a local church here, Second Baptist Church, and sometimes one of the deacons will get up and he'll begin to sing a song. And sometimes before the phrase is over, he'll start the next part of the song. That's a multimeter because he's changing the meter. So if the steady beat changes, then we consider that a meter change. Clapping and stomping were used to set the pulse, since slaves were prohibited from using drums and instruments in the United States. Some of the performance considerations. This is more for directors. This is more for people who want to study and conduct choirs, but it's important things. Dialect, standard English. Many of us now have college educations and we sing and we're trained in the Western art form, so we say water instead of water, right? But back then there were no T's, okay? It wasn't water. All right, it was water. Got it? Or water. Confusing slave rhythms with swing and jazz. You hear this a lot. Gods are gonna travel. Nah. It's not swung. All right. Spirituals have a very straightforward meaning and message. Vocal timbre and color. Slaves sang with a variety of timbre, strong, intense, and clear. Speech-like sounds to screaming and yelling. Instrumentation, it could be with or without instruments. I tried to get a various group of examples so you can hear, like I started with a concert spiritual, that's a choir setting of a spiritual. I have some solo, I have some a cappella, so you can get a good understanding. We're gonna sing a cappella. I started to bring a keyboard today. I did. But I said to myself, nah, that's not fair. They didn't have a keyboard, so we don't have one today either. Body movement. Movement was a very important part of the African tradition. When they sang, they moved in most cases, which when we go to college, we begin to sing, we're here. We have a little more, we're educated, right? But the slave, we wanted to feel it. Yeah, we wanted the meaning of it. Very good. So those are some of the performance considerations of the spiritual. Now, this is a very important thing because sometimes it's quite irritating. It is for me. Sometimes we think everything that was done in the African American tradition was gospel music. That's not true. Gospel music is a genre of music that was invented in the early 20th century. Okay? That's not, and I get it all the time. The Black Voices of Inspiration, that's a gospel choir. No, we sing gospel music, but we sing a lot more than gospel music. We try to represent the music of the African American condition, which includes spirituals, jazz, blues. There's a lot of different genres of music that come within that umbrella. But here's some of the similarities and differences. Spirituals use occasional use of bent tone. A bent tone is when you go, hey, when you got to feeling good, swing low. You don't just go, swing low, swing low. Right, I'm giving you the swing in my voice, right? Very good. Biblical text. Spirituals often have biblical texts. They love Moses, the Hebrews, Elijah, people who overcame obstacles. Old Testament texts. A cappella. When this music was first being performed, they didn't have instruments. So it's a cappella. Now, that's not saying we can't use instrumentation, but it's a cappella. Syncopation and percussive rhythms with voices. Repetitive form. Gospel, it features flattened thirds and sevenths. All right, it's very instrument heavy, subjective text. As a gospel writer, I can write in reference to my love of my spiritual life. Spirituals are going to be pretty much what the text of the Bible said. All right, Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. It's not gonna vary from that text. It's going to stay right there. It's going to tell that story. Instrumental accompaniment is very important in gospel music. Very important. All right. Syncopation and percussive rhythms with instruments. Strophic form, including verses and refrains. All right. Now I want to get back to the 5 categories of slave songs as described by Jester Harrison. You know, Jester Harrison, it's amazing because I was so privileged on Tuesday night to witness and meet after the great Harry Belafonte. And he was a multifaceted artist. Jester Harrison would probably be the Harry Belafonte of the generation before him. Now they lived, I'm sure they lived during the same time a bit, but Jester Harrison was a composer, he was an actor, he was a singer, and he was trained. Him and Harry Belafonte have a lot of the same lineage there. And he classified 5 categories of slave songs. The religious spirituals. They make reference to Jesus, the devil, Judgment Day, and heaven. The freedom spirituals. They reference Moses, the Hebrews, and the people of Israel. Now, that's not in all cases, but this was his characterization of these various spirituals. Escape spirituals or coded spirituals, or sometimes referred to as telegraph spirituals. The shout and hollers, which are part of the ring shout tradition, and work songs. So I'm going to take you through and let you listen and witness and be in awe of some of this amazing music that we're talking about.
Good time, a good time. Good time, a good time. Time, a good time. Good time, a good time. Time, a good time. Have a good time.
Repetitive form,
Singing for a
call,
good time.
response.
For a good time. Something for a good time. For a good time. Good time, a good time. Time, a good
Foot
time.
stomping, clapping.
Talking about a good time. Time, a good time. Time, a good time. Time, a good time.
All right. What you think? Interesting. Interesting. Good time, a good time. He's not worried about singing in tune. He want to have a good time. And then he had, that probably was a friend, a wife, but did you hear the compliment to that? Oh! Did you hear that? Yes. Now, we got to put this in context right quick. They didn't have Netflix. They didn't have Blockbuster. No. This was their good time. Okay? And I say that because I started my teacher career teaching middle school. And when you start talking about things like this, they're like, why would anybody do that? But we have to put it into context of where we were at this time. The next genre is work songs, or the category, I should say, is work songs.
Well, every Monday morning, when the bluebird began to sing, you can hear those hammers a mile or more. You can hear John Henry hammering. Oh, Lord, there's John Henry hammering.
Find that 2 and 4.
John Henry stole his old lady.
That's 1 and 3 right there. One. That's what the.
Got 90 miles of track, I got 2 lines. Got to line it by the light of the moon. Oh, Lord, line it by the light of the moon.
All right. John Henry. A lot of us have heard of John Henry. By the time I went to elementary school, we were singing about John Henry. It didn't sound like that, though. but we were talking about John Henry. Okay, this was a song that would be an example of something that they would sing while they work. You imagine working all day. I mean, it's going to get pretty lonesome. It's funny, Myron and I, we both grew up kind of similar. I was asking about the College of Agriculture. The agriculture people, y'all love this. My grandfather's a sharecropper. And I used to get woken up. I'm going to say that, woken up. 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm from Georgia. Those of you from the South know in the summer it's 100 degrees. All right. So when you work in the field, you got to start at 6. Okay, you got to start at 6 because by 10:30 you are blazing hot. Okay, and I would say, you know, and Myron, he agreed because I think he had a similar experience as a child in Louisiana, which was probably warmer than Georgia. But I say, you know, it's a character builder. Because when we would arrive to that field and you would look at that field, you would say, there's no way we're going to get this done today. And it was a very intimidating thing to do in the summers. And I just imagine, they didn't have a tractor. I was driving tractors and stuff. They didn't have a tractor. So these songs developed over all that time they spent in this field. And it uplifted them. Because when you get tired, you want to stop. It's like, think about those of us who get on the treadmill. When you get tired, you just stop the button. But when you were in slavery and you got tired, see, I don't even have to say nothing. Everybody face changed. It was for real. Correct. So they would do things and come up with songs, and they would have stories, and comedy kind of arose out of this, and they had games, and they had all kind of ways of communicating to make that 8 to 10 to 12 hours pass, because people know once the spring come, the days get what? The days get longer. Harvest time was a long day, okay? Religious spirituals. Now this is more modern. You hear the piano. Very nice, very nice. Every time I feel the Spirit. Now, that's one way here. And another way, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray, right? That's another way. So the form of the spiritual, the melody did not change. The way I presented it as far as the rhythm, the tempo, the speed, all of those things are mobile. They change. They change for the condition. They change for the spirit. I could also sing that at a funeral. I could slow it down. Every time I feel the Spirit. Then I might bend a few more notes. Moving in my heart. We like that. You want to feel good. I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. So I might do it like that at a funeral, right? I don't know how I might sing it. But I tell you what, I have the flexibility to change it to fit the situation. I may start it like that, and we might end here. Right? Freedom spirituals. Wow. Oh, freedom. When I was listening to this, I was thinking, the confidence of somebody who can be killed on a moment's notice to say a line like, before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. How indignant of a remark to make. To think about that, that's genius. I mean, that's the purest form of art. I know the condition I am, but I'm telling myself, I'm not even what you say I am. I'm not even what you say I am. I'm not a slave. Before I be that, I'll be buried in my grave, and I'm going to go home and be free. The soul is always free. I think we all need to understand that. The soul is always free. It don't matter if the president, as of 12 o'clock, is not your choice. Your soul is always free. Nobody can take that from you. And that's what we can learn from the spirituals. We can learn that people, especially the American Negro, suffer some amazing, for lack of better words, debacles. From the point of boarding a ship. If you haven't been over to the Black Culture Center, stop by and look at the front desk. The hull of the ship. Stacked in there. They made it over. Their souls were still free. How do we know? They brought this music with them. They brought the music. It was there. And then when they learned from the Bass Song book, they were able to take something that they never heard of before they got here, and they used that too. They used that too. But all of it was to strengthen their condition as a human being. The escape spiritual. Many times when we talk about spirituals, we spend a lot of time on the escape spirituals. I think it has the gravitas. It has the, those secret meanings and the coded meanings. But it's just one form of the larger genre of folk music, African American folk music. All of this is under one genre, okay? And the escape spirituals, I found this very inspiring. This is the PBS DVD. Underground Railroad, the William Steele story. And we're going to watch just a 2-minute.
The words we're saying have a double meaning. So anytime you hear anything about traveling shoes or chariots or wheels, somebody's getting ready to run. And so you take a Negro spiritual. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. That chariot is movement. That chariot is swinging low, picking you up, putting you on that Underground Railroad, taking you somewhere to freedom. So when we sing those songs, it's like, something's getting ready to happen. So I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Jordan, that was metaphoric for the Ohio River. A band of angels coming after me. Those conductors coming to help you, coming forth to carry me home. So they had all kind of little messages. And the slave master would hear us singing and say, oh, don't they sound pretty happy tonight? Next day, 2 or 3 people gone, because we put that message out. We talked about wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade, 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 wade in the water, 'cause God's gonna trouble the water. So we stepped in that water, because the dogs can't pick up your scent. We had all these songs that said it's time to move, it's time to go by the waterway, it's time to follow the North Star, it's time to start looking, it's time to start traveling, it's time to start getting ready to cross over that Jordan into freedom. Still away to Jesus. Oh, Lord, they're going on to heaven. No. Still away home. I ain't got long to stay here. So we still away to Jesus. We still away to freedom. But it sounds like we're just talking about a life in the hereafter, but we're talking about a life in the here and now.
Right. It's safe to say Harriet Tubman was considered the Moses of her generation. She was one of the most instrumental people in removing slaves from the South to the North. And as the slide says, they say her favorite song was Go Down Moses. And this song was a signal that signaled the slaves that she was in the area. And it would help anyone, she would be there to help anyone who wanted to escape. A couple other historians added that Go Down Moses was also used if she was in the area and it wasn't safe for them to come out. So she would change the words, change the lyrical content, but that was the song that people knew, okay, my conductor has arrived to take me. Other quoted spiritual saying by Tubman include follow the drinking gourd. I got to ask this question. Who knows what a drinking gourd is? Very good. Would you mind sharing?
That was a gourd that was hollowed out to use to dip a bucket.
Yes. The drinking gourd. Now, this is the way I am old enough to know how some people used to talk from where I come from. And see, my granddaddy would say we had to use the drinking gourd to draw the water out the well, okay? The drinking gourd was the dipper. And the drinking gourd in the song, Follow the Drinking Gourd, was referencing the Big Dipper because at the peak of the Big Dipper, it is the pole star that referenced you north, all right? So when they say follow the drinking gourd, they're saying follow the North Star to freedom. In that piece, there's also mention of quails. The historians say the quails signify the spring is coming. So wait for the quails to begin to sing because the days will be longer in the springtime, all right? And also, it references the moss on the tree because they said when the moss dies on the tree, the moss would sit on the north side of the tree. So they could also use the dead moss trees as an indicator of how to go north, okay? Still away. She told you in her reference about still away. Still away was used, very popular. You hear a lot of choral settings of still away now, but it was all about freedom. It was about freedom. Now to move just a little bit, I got to talk about why are we talking about spirituals now? Spirituals became a fascination to the United States of America. We're going to talk about the dissemination of spirituals. So the American Revolution was a big thing because now we're abolishing slavery. We have states. We're starting to advance as a nation. Slavery was abolished in Massachusetts and other New England states. We begin to see this term called the Sabbath School. This is what took place in the homes of free black men. They provided education, taught blacks hymns, psalms, and psalmody. Frederick Douglass and other black leaders were responsible for leading Sabbath schools. So now that we've abolished slavery, we're starting to have more blacks, African Americans now. We've been called many things, Afro-American, African-American, Negro, everything, all right? Synonymous. They began to be taught how to read the Psalms. So now we're starting to advance. Fisk College, very important. Fisk College opened 6 months at the end of the Civil War on January 9th, 1866. Its mission was to provide a liberal arts education to freed slaves. And I have the people who established that. Now, I think Purdue employees are going to find this funny. They couldn't find any funding because they were a liberal arts school. And the Industrial Revolution was starting, and so all of the bureaus that were funding colleges at this time, they didn't see the value in providing money to a liberal arts-based school. They wanted more mechanical-based industrial-based school programs. As a result, the Fisk Jubilee Singers were created. It's funny, you know, as a lifelong musician, we have always been exploited. I was just telling the technical guys he was setting up, you know, we get to meet some of the most amazing people. We get to hang with presidents and all kind of amazing people. But then they go home to their mansions and we go back to our home and say, I met. When I went to Africa, I was supposed to meet Nelson Mandela. He actually was sick the day that I was supposed to meet him. I did end up meeting the Prime Minister of Ethiopia at the time. You know, it's amazing the things you get to do as a performing artist, but you're still there for the entertainment. They were led by George L. White, a young white teacher. Now that's not that important, but I thought it was fascinating, right? A young white teacher's leading the Fisk Jubilee Singers at Fisk College. His job at the college at the time, he was the treasurer. He was fully aware of the money situation at the college. So he trained the singers in musicianship, and on October 6th, with 11 singers and a Negro pianist, they embarked on their first tour. I just used your word, embarked. One of my students is here. She loves that word. The tour was well received and began the national and international dissemination of African American folk songs. Before this point, it was largely held a plantation life. Most of America, most of the world did not know about this music. If you did not have any clue of what was going on the plantation. Plantation owners knew about it, but many people did not. But here's the part where I use the word exploitation. After 7 years of touring, they raised over $150,000. This is in the late mid-19th century. That's a lot of money for a choir, okay? As a result of their success and the international tours, they were going to the Netherlands, all over the British colonies. They traveled all over the world singing these pieces. And what came of that was choral societies. Once people began to get a taste of this music, they wanted more of it. So in the late 19th century, in black urban communities, the following cities began to have choral societies: Chicago, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., New York, Kansas City. Those first two cities are very important because if any of you know anything about gospel music, Chicago and Philadelphia were very instrumental in the creation of that genre. Professional Jubilee troops traveled nationally and internationally singing the songs of the slaves. So now this music is becoming vastly disseminated across the United States and the rest of the world. Before I go to the Civil Rights Movement, I gotta kind of set this up. Well, as more and more blacks begin to become educated, they begin to stray away from the spiritual. They begin to stray away from the spiritual because I guess it started reminding them of something that they felt that was behind them. So it kind of lost its steam a little bit. The HBCU, historically black colleges and universities, they continued that legacy. Their choirs would still travel and tour, and it was a means of making money. So, you know, they were still in rotation, but they were losing popularity. And then we come up on the Civil Rights Movement. Some regard this as the movement of music, the marches, the boycott, the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, the Freedom Singers, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. All right, they organized a group of singers. And Dr. Evans is going to really appreciate this. These singers are from Albany, Georgia. Not necessarily originally, but they were in college at Albany College, which is a historically black college and university now, Albany State University. But they were studying music and they wanted, here's the exploitation again. They needed money. They were traveling around the country, fighting for civil rights. They needed money. So they assembled this group of singers and they began to travel around the country singing concerts. They were doing so well, they get an invitation to Carnegie Hall. Okay. They performed with Bob Dylan. Joan Baez, I'm not saying her name correct, but another folk, Joan Baez, yes. And other folk legends of the time. This group was very popular, and they brought the spiritual back to the forefront. They changed the words. One of the popular spirituals of that time was "Oh Freedom." You heard it. A little different rhythm, but that was one of the popular spirituals. Another one, "Ain't gonna let nobody." What's the next part? We got a little call and response going on. Y'all better warm up. You get ready to sing. I'm looking at the clock now. I still got 30 minutes. Don't think you're not going to sing today. So that was one of the very popular spirituals that was birthed out of the civil rights movement. Perhaps the most popular song, I can't call it a spiritual, was "We Shall Overcome." "We Shall Overcome" was actually derived from Charles A. Tinley, a Baptist a preacher from Philadelphia. He wrote a song called "I'll Overcome Someday." And much of that piece came together to create "We Shall Overcome." Okay? And that's probably the song that most people remember from the movement. But this set the spiritual back into America's viewpoint as great music, as music that transcends generations. And I wanted to end this portion with this quote. "Through all the sorrow of the sorrow songs, there breathes a hope, a faith in the ultimate justice of things. The minor cadences of despair change often to triumph and calm confidence. Sometimes it is faith in life, sometimes a faith in death, sometimes assurance of boundless justice in some fair world beyond. But whichever it is, the meaning is always clear, that sometime, somewhere, men will judge men and women by their souls and not by their skins." Okay? This was a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois. And that is the end of that presentation. I'm going to take some questions right now before we sing. If you have any questions that you want to ask in relation to the presentation or what you have learned, or you'd like to make any comments, we'll take just 6 minutes to answer those.
And if you don't mind what you do, just press the button in the middle lower part. Just hold the button when you say your question because it's being recorded.
Yes, sir.
The Fisk singers, you read about them, they're sometimes criticized for popularizing the spirituals and not carrying on some of the tradition and the original intent and scores of the music.
Indeed.
What's your word on that?
Great question. So I'll take it back a step right before the word popularized came out. Well, once Fisk began to train the musicians, they began to learn Western musicianship. They began to learn how to stand. They began to use a different dialect. Water became water, right? We began to sing these songs in a format that was of the Western musical tradition and not of the slave tradition. Well, many did critique that. Many did criticize. Many said, I think it takes away from, because now it's becoming form and structure, right? The form, the harmonies the cadences are more refined. The solo improvisation is being removed. So some had an issue with that. However, that did not stop the proliferation of this music. And the reason why is because at the time, most slaves valued education. So they wanted to learn how to speak in the more American dialect that they were being trained at these Western universities or colleges at the time. So they were learning that. They were learning writing, reading. They were learning to speak with that tone. So And out of that school came Jester Hairston, Paul Robeson, Leontine Price moving on forward. Some of the great soloists of spirituals in today's time. And if you listen to them, they sing it in a very operatic, sometimes I feel. They don't sing, sometimes. You hear the difference already in the first 3 notes of the song. Right? So that's a great point that you bring about. There was a strife. And both still live today. If you go down to South Carolina, Georgia, where I'm from, in the rural South, you will hear a lot of the original formats of these songs. The orator is a deacon or anybody who's familiar with the music that's been passed down through the oral tradition. And then if you go in the university setting, like where I'm at, I teach the concert spiritual from a choral octavo. So, both are still being utilized today. Great question. Yes, sir.
My question has to do with the Negro spiritual / folk song as it relates to its evolution, proliferation into other musical styles.
Yes.
In other words, how the Negro spiritual affected music of today.
Yes. Great question. First, let's talk about the political correctness of now we don't call a spiritual a Negro spiritual. We just refer to it as a spiritual. Same thing. However, in political correctness now, people are very uncomfortable using the word Negro. So we call it spiritual. Now, let's talk about, this is my friend, by the way, this is Derek. Yeah. So Derek, that was a great question. Subjective. When we think of pop music, what do we think about? Soul, rock, R&B, whatever genre you listen to, top 40. Where did it come from? It had to come from the folk music of the slave. Why? How many of you are liberal arts in here? Very good. In the Western choral tradition, in the Western music tradition, many of the elements that you hear in pop music, that wasn't being taught in the European countries. So there's no way that was something that developed out of the Western tradition. It wasn't. Every popular genre that you listen to, now, don't get me wrong, we're juxtaposing several different styles and things are marrying and we're pulling from this influence and we're pulling from that influence. I'm trained in Western music. I play in a gospel church. I've sang in R&B bands. So of course we combine a lot of the elements of all of the different styles of music. For my agriculture people, music is very organic. For my science people, the DNA of it. But music is very organic. And it's growing out of the folk of the people and their condition. So when we think about the Berry Gordies, well, that's just an add-on from those work songs, right? What's one of the Temptations' favorite? What's one of your favorite songs from the Temptations?
Can't Get Next to You.
Can't Get Next to You. That's the same as nobody knows the trouble I've seen. How is that the same? Think about it. And nobody knows the trouble I've seen. You're trying to say, I know something you don't know. And Can't Get Next to You, you're saying, I know something you don't know. I want you, but you don't want me. And not necessarily, I'm not quoting the songs, but I'm just saying that these folk songs began to develop. Soul music came out of gospel. How can I tell you that? Most of the people who sang soul, guess what they started? In the church. They just took that style and changed the words. Mahalia Jackson, Aretha Franklin, all of these developments. Now, if you listen to rap, my rap connoisseurs, Drake, he's not talking, he's singing. Maybe 3 notes, but he's still singing. I better find your loving. Well, that's no different than the folk music before it. We added a little technology to it. Some of my students, they say, Mr. Deagle, I want you to listen to this track. They come in and they got all this computerized stuff going. And I go to the piano and start playing the chorus. How did you do that so fast? You know, it's like, you just played 1, 4, and 5. It's all related. It's a very relationship thing. But I don't want you to leave thinking that this music just morphed out of matter. It really didn't. All right. It was the infusion of the slave song and the folk music with the Western music. And as we kept going, we began to manuscript this music. We began to put it in writing. More people began to add their flavor to it. And now we have all kinds of music, various genres. And you know, one of the professors here, Dr. Hooker, she's actually doing some work on the classification of music genres. Because many of you know this, it was largely based on race. The classifications of music, it was largely based on race. R&B and pop, they were essentially the same thing. One was the black people's version of it, one was the white people's version of it. We're trying to undo some of these things now. Great question. Any more questions? I'm ready to get this College of Agriculture choir going. Thank you. Oh, one more.
Let me ask you a quick question. So, you know, spirituals connected to liberation. You know, they would use code words, use civil rights movement, had music behind it. Mm-hmm. Where's the liberation music today behind any movement? Yeah.
Good question. I think it's everywhere. I think that you see it a lot in urban music, in hip hop. Now, some people have a hard time digesting the way it comes out, so they may not hear the code, let's just say the code, because it's in a lot of other stuff, you know, some misogynistic stuff, you know, but then there's a little drop of knowledge in there, and then it goes back to the car that I drive. Then it's another drop, and then some artists do a very good job. When they want to talk about a serious thing, that song is serious. You know, you have your, and then when you think about R&B music, what I'm noticing in R&B music right now is a lot of R&B singers are finding good movie placements. It's like John Legend. One day when the storm is over, it'll be all glory, right? So we're seeing it in movies, but I think that's become the voice now. The voice now from a musical aspect is in the urban contemporary movement. And that can be hard to keep up with, right? My students teach me every day new terminology. And I'm 32, so I'm like, that's crazy. I'm supposed to know this stuff, but I don't. And I'm learning all of these different coded messages that are coming through the music. I think social media is also a big thing now. Social media. I mean, a lot of people they're not famous singers, because we live in the culture now of celebrity. So if you're not a celebrity, you're not telling me the truth. You know, there's a lot of truth out there. I mean, people don't want to hear it because it's who it's coming from, right? It's not a celebrity telling me. So that's a great question. But musically, I would say a lot in urban music. And I think it's starting to cross over now. And when I say crossover, you're starting to hear more country artists do duets, and you saw Beyonce at the CMAs. You're starting to see a huge transition of people coming together with the united message, and I think that's good for commercialism.
Can I follow that up with
Sure.
where do you see gospel music at today, as far as connected to, you know, liberation versus all this praise music? And I'm not saying we ought not praise. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, you don't really hear outside of Tasha Cobb, you know, Breaking the Chains, which is a remake. But, you know, where do you see gospel music going?
Good question. In relation to gospel music, I'll say it like this. There's a movement right now in church to have participation, right? So it's the same as Martin Luther. Same thing, different time. Martin Luther said, why are we singing in Latin? We don't understand this. What's going on? So During the gospel movement, it was very soloistic, very virtuistic at some points with certain songs they were singing and all these things were happening. And what they noticed is in the audience, everybody was here. You know, they were watching, they were enjoying it. It was entertainment, kind of, in a sense. So we start to move to much more of a worship experience where now you have in certain instances, person with the guitar up front and the words on the screen, and we sing, and the songs are becoming more simplified so more people can participate. Now, as far as that in liberation, I think in certain spiritual circles, it's very liberating because you're bringing more people to the message of Christ in the church. As it relates to some of the more worldly issues, as far as racism, and I don't really think a lot of that is happening in the church right now. Gospel music has always been subjective in text. And so a lot of the subjects that you talk about are praise, honor, love, forgiveness, right? So it can come through that. And if you're thinking that if your consciousness is there, then maybe you may relate it to those things. But it's not an intentional coded or anything like it would have been in the early 20th century, to answer your question. Last thing I'm gonna say before we start singing, choir. Dr. Evans, where's your choir? See, I gotta say choir, I can't say choir. Choir. Come on, Derek. It's going to be real quick. Y'all are going to sing too, but they're going to be your examples. The last thing I will say is, because I wanted to tie the interconnectedness, and I used that term this morning, of Dr. Martin Luther King's movement in the civil rights with the more encompassing African-American experience in America. One of the things that I like most about Dr. MLK is, for me, it's more of a conscious awareness. Every time during this time of year, we're reminded of the great sacrifices, of the great cultural aspects, the music, and that's what makes this so important. Y'all don't have to get in no sessions. We're singing the music of old. But to conclude what I'm saying about Dr. King, one of the things that I hope we continue to do as a nation, as a university, as a people, is stay connected with the consciousness of this week, this event of the MLK celebration. Because what we can't afford to do is try to put it into history, because it can repeat itself. It can. We can start hating each other and we can go back into our silos. That's a word I learned when I got to Purdue. I never heard, Purdue word there. But yes, an agricultural word. And I do know what a silo is, and I know how to spell it. But I just want to leave you with that. As you digest everything we've encountered this week, it's important that we keep that conscious awareness of everything that they fought for, and this music and all of the other speakers, the Black Lives Matter movement, and all of these things add up to equal we have work to do. All right. So with that, we're going to do some singing. Everybody should have received a blue piece of paper. Thank you, Carla. Come on down. There she is. Okay. I want you to look at the coded side first. I'm not going to go completely through it, but I wanted you to see this is actually part of the curriculum of the video I showed you. So this is their decoding of the spiritual swing low. Now, we haven't rehearsed.
No, we haven't.
No.
But as you can see, they're brave, and they're gonna follow some simple instructions.
Yes.
I'm not gonna teach this like I teach in choir. This is just how we do it down south.
And it's Friday.
Dr. Evans and Carla, you're gonna be the melody.
Oh,
So part of the call and response tradition is there was always someone holding the melody. Okay? We're gonna start with swing low. Okay. What key y'all want it in? Because we don't have no piano now. You just gotta start singing. Whatever key was in.
just pick whatever key you want and we'll just follow.
So let's hear the melody.
You ready? Where we going?
They're nervous.
Swing low, sweet
Give 'em a clap.
chariot, coming forth to carry me home.
Very good. That's enough. Now, whoo, yes. Everybody sing that. Ready and swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Now, there's always a singer amongst the group
Yes, amen.
that they grew up in a singing family.
Yes.
Griot. They heard grandma add those embellishments.
Just Adam.
And he's wearing red today. You know? So this is going to be our embellisher. He's going to really bring the soulfulness out of what we're trying to say here. So we have our melody here. And we have our embellisher. Okay? So now let's see what that sounds like. Ready? And swing low.
Swing low,
Sweet
chariot,
Uh-huh.
coming to carry me home.
Stop. Very good. So he's embellishing, right? So we're adding more layers to the equation. Now,
Oh, wait.
Myron and I, we're going to be the statesman of the group. So you hear my tone change. The bass is always the foundation.
The heartbeat.
So we're going to add a little bass to the mix. All right? Don't run, Lily.
Oh, Lily.
So I have a mic on. So you're good.
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha, okay.
Here we go. 1, 2, keep it balanced, go.
Swing low, sweet chariot,
Go, Myron.
coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home.
Now, I got one more thing to add.
Lillian.
After we would sing that one time, more and more people would begin to join in. They would begin to join in. And then somebody, it would start feeling real good. So we got to add a little shout in there.
I'm supposed to shout.
Lillian, it's going to start feeling good to her. She's going to start going, woo, in the middle of the song. Now, y'all help her out.
I got that.
You got that? Now, don't do it. Don't shout so loud that we can't hear the song. Okay, all right, here we go. All right. Now, does everybody have their role? All right, in a minute, I'm coming to you. 1 and go.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home.
Yeah, give them a hand. Now, the songs would take form just like that. We didn't have an organized method. There was the melody, there was the embellisher. That's what I'm called. Okay? Just means they're singing and they're improvising. There's a bass holding the foundation of the group together. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Yeah, you got the bass, right? And then,
Foster.
oh, you got James Foster. We got. He say I'm good. And then you have the soloist. So the soloist will say, I looked over Jordan and what did I see?
Coming forth to carry me home.
A band of angels coming after me.
Coming forth to carry me home.
All right, so let's see if you learned anything from the talk. What was that? Did I just demonstrate it? Call, response. Yes. So now, everybody stand up. You're going to join. Where's my guy who said he wanted to hear some singing? You're going to do some singing. Here we go. 1, 2, everybody together and go. Swing low, sweet chariot. You can clap. Coming forth to carry me home. Very good. Sweet low, sweet chariot. Coming forth to carry me home. Listen, I looked over Jordan and what did I see? Coming forth to carry me home. Very good. A band of angels coming after me. Coming forth to carry me home. Then somebody else will go. If you get there before I do, coming forth to carry me home. Tell all my family I'm coming to. Coming forth to carry me home. Here we go. Sweet Lord. Give me a note. Sweet chariot. Coming forth to carry me home. Sweet Lord. Sweet chariot. Coming forth to carry me home. Give yourselves a hand. Very good. You may have a seat. Turn it over. Flip it over right quick. It's amazing. I was telling my choir on Wednesday, when I teach these pieces or sing them, they give me chills because you can feel the spirit of it. You can feel the spirit of it. And when you have the meaning and when you know that it was a lot deeper and the purpose behind it was a lot more than what's in the words. And I tell them, you know, we can't let this music go to the wayside. You know, we have to really think about entertainment versus historical validation. Sometimes, you know, oh yeah, let me do a shameless plug. Concert, April 2nd, Load Playhouse. Load Playhouse. 3 o'clock, Miss Thomas, 3 o'clock? Yes. I'm always very intentional about programming a concert with several different styles of music. Because it's not just about entertainment. It's about the life of the people who walked on this earth before we did. We do a good job of studying it in college. Think about it. You learn a lot of foundational principles in your classes. You learn a lot of historical evidence. You learn how to support it. You learn a lot of things. And one of the things I love about being in the music profession is I get to give you an experience. You get to experience it. Thank God we don't have to do it in the way they did. But we can still experience and we can keep it alive. So with that, let's look at Wade in the Water. I say I'm doing good on time. See, I say I've been watching that time. I'm doing very good. Wade in the Water. This piece is in a minor. This spiritual is in a minor key. Yes. All right. Da, 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 da. That's a minor third. Da, da, da. Okay. And then it jumps to the fifth. Da, 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 da. That's a minor triad. Okay. You don't have to sing it in that key.
Oh, I was happy about that.
I was like,
That sounds nice.
Well, thank you. But
You weren't going
so now, do we want to keep our same roles or do we want to switch?
I'm great over here.
I assure you will.
She's practicing the shout and the holler. Okay, so find the key. Y'all start. Remember, we didn't have the piano. You know, when you come to the concert, I'm gonna play the piano, then I'm gonna gather them. We're gonna get ready and sing. It wasn't like that. We just started singing. Okay, go ahead.
Wade in the water.
Keep going.
Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Good. Now, did y'all see what I was doing? I was trying to mimic the duple feel of the song. Boom, boom, boom. on, sing it.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
I'm glad y'all did that. Did y'all hear that note they sing on God? That was that flat and 7. God's gonna. Now, if it was in the Western tradition, it would be God's gonna. That changed it a lot, didn't it? God's gonna. God's gonna. Now bend it for me. Just do that. Go. God's gonna. Yeah. Now everybody just paid more attention. Why? Because now it's wade in the water. God's gonna. Now you can't mistake who gonna trouble it. Right? God's gonna. Yes. Emphasis. Sing it again. Come on, my embellisher, improvateur. 1, 2, ready.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water.
I hope y'all learning it. Y'all gonna sing it in a minute.
God's gonna trouble the water.
All right, so let's get a little bass in there. So we got to walk in tempo. So even if you don't sing the words, you can boom, boom, yeah, there you go. All right, very good. 1. Everybody, wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Get ready. Give me something.
In the water.
Yes, good. Very good. All right, does everybody have it? Stand up one more time. I promise this is the last time you're going to stand up. Last time. We're going to do it together. 1, 2, ready.
Wade in the water.
Give me more.
Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water.
What?
God's gonna trouble.
Now watch me. Sing it again. I just changed the meaning of the song. I just completely changed the meaning of the song. Just by changing the dynamic that you sing. Watch this. God's gonna trouble. God's gonna trouble.
God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Last one.
God's gonna trouble.
Y'all are watching.
The water.
Add a bend. Very good. Have a seat. So it is 1:23. We have a couple more minutes. Thank you, choir. I hope that this was an enjoyable experience for you. You came out on your Friday, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share with you. And thank you for being a great audience and participating. You know, I'm telling you, when you do these type, you never know what kind of audience you're gonna get. Right? I've been to conferences and they've said, "All right, let's sing," and it was like, I'm not singing nothing, you know. But thank you so much for that. I do want to give one more opportunity if there's any quick question. All right, thank you. I hope y'all have a wonderful 2017. Thank you for having me.